Let me do something. I want to play
Remember
two
what I
clips.
said, the first
I want to
iterations
play
of the
two
virus.
clips. Rob, do me a favor. When you're saying with the vaccine, like, I think the basic premise is why people are frustrated with this conversation that we're having today. Why don't you play the highlight reel, Rob, the Joker one, if you know which one I'm talking about. Just play this one, and this isn't just you. This is what we had to hear.
That's not me?
No. Every day we had to hear, play this clip, and then I'm going to go to another one, and I'm going to turn it over to Dave.
That's the guy who bankrolled Osama bin Laden's daughter.
Play the clip.
The unvaccinated. You are the problem. It is the unvaccinated who are the problem. Period. End of story.
The only people that you can blame, this isn't shaming, this is the truth. Maybe they should be shamed, are the unvaccinated.
It's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks.
Anyone you came into contact with will blame you, as will the rest of us who have done the right thing by getting vaccinated.
Because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated.
I think it's time to get our moral house in order, Anderson. It's the unvaccinated who are the threat.
All of us vaccinated folks are going to start wearing masks to protect the unvaccinated folks. It's called a Christian value.
You're basically punishing the vaccinated for the sins of the unvaccinated.
People are not behaving honorably. The unvaccinated are basically saying, well, it's open season for me. I can do whatever I want as well.
The unvaccinated are basically beating their breasts and running around the country saying, we don't care, we're living free, and so forth.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
The unvaccinated, a group that includes children and people acting like children. And the rest of us are starting to get pissed off.
The vaccinated feel the unvaccinated are making me upset or angry.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No. Screw your freedom.
The other day, Howard Stern weighed in with a much different approach. Take a look.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated? Their freedom.
But you're treading on our freedom and you're making other people sick, and really you're killing other people.
The anti-vaxxers, they seem to have a thing for death and home remedies.
The anti-maskers turned anti-vaxxers are not just putting their own lives at risk. If that was the issue, we could just say that we can watch them compete to win place or show in the Darwin Awards.
We have to start doing things for the greater good of society, and not for idiots who think that they can do their own research.
And don't get me started on the lunatics who won't take any of the COVID vaccines.
Life is too short to be an ass. Life is way too short to be ignorant of the promise of something that is helping people worldwide.
Maybe you're doing it because you're disconnected or disorganized. Maybe you have some sympathetic psychological reasons. But maybe you're just being antisocial.
Oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are.
Those who are not vaccinated will end up paying the price.
The unvaccinated should be taxed. They should pay more for health care.
We need to start looking at the choice to remain unvaccinated the same as we look at driving while intoxicated.
We're going to see, and I've said, almost two types of America.
Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack, yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo, rest in peace, Wheezy.
Pointing back to the unvaccinated who are really creating a problem in this country. Every death that we are seeing from COVID could have been prevented.
Literally, the only people dying are the unvaccinated. And for those of you spreading misinformation, shame on you. Shame on you. I don't know.
See, that's the frustration. How many guys are frustrated just watching this? Who's getting upset just watching this, right? So, by the way, I'm a business owner. When we talk about what happened during that time, according to Federal Reserve, the pandemic resulted in permanent closure of roughly 200,000 U.S. establishments shutting down. So this is families running a business for 2-3 generations. Boom, gone. Restaurant business gone. Estimated the economic toll of the COVID-19 pandemic in the U.S. This is according to USC Leonard Schaefer, $14 trillion by the end of 2023. So when we watch this and we're like, oh my God, this is, and I was like, no, everything's changed. 4 years later, it's changed. We should move on. We should think about other things. people still haven't let this go.
Absolutely.
People haven't let this go. And a big
Absolutely.
part of, I think,
that's why I'm here.
Right. No, and I appreciate you doing this. But for me, Dave, what I think is going on is the following. Rob, play that clip with AstraZeneca if you could. So if you have that clip, if you know which one I'm talking about. So this is before when they're telling us how there's no risk, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff, everything's going to be fine. The before and after of this clip is very, very interesting. Rob, if you got it to pull it up, go ahead and play it. Go watch this clip here.
Now then, COVID is back in the news.
Are you hearing people are quite nervous
Can you raise
about
the volume, Rob?
One of the professors who worked in the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is a paediatrician who is one of the most intelligent,
They really
sensible,
do
and
sound
honest
smarter
people I know.
Just 'cause
And
of
I
the accent.
spoke to him. I was lucky enough to speak to him because I worked in a documentary that looked at the Oxford vaccine. And do you know what? There is no conspiracy. There is no fake news.
The AstraZeneca COVID vaccine is being withdrawn worldwide after the pharmaceutical giant admitted it causes a rare and dangerous side effect.
Government had no capacity to enforce any of this. You must wear a mask. And people wore masks in New York. But if they said, I'm not wearing a mask, there was nothing I could do about it.
Masks have been mandatory since April, and a fine for not wearing one took effect this week.
It was really all voluntary. Wear a mask. It is the law, and the law is the law.
People who have got conspiracy, maybe anti-vax views, who believe now that they were deliberately misled over these vaccines. They've been developed quickly because we've sped up the process to make it more efficient. We've still had all the safety checks in place. That has not been compromised.
AstraZeneca admits its COVID vaccine.
Show Pfizer. Do me a favor. Show Pfizer, by the way. Show what happened with Pfizer stock during this time. I mean, when you look at all this stuff and you're wondering, you know, who's protected, who's not. This is just Pfizer and Moderna stock during that time. Rob, if you got it, just put it up there. For us to see the image. Very profitable season for these guys. I mean, these guys crushed it economically, right? If you, Rob, do you have the image? You don't have the image? I know if Brandon, you can text it to him to show it to him. So, Dave, when you see this yourself, either one of you guys can take the lead on this. When you see this here, do you think there's a part of it where there's a community? I call the establishment, you know, you call the establishment, you know, whatever you want to call it. They almost want the season to be gone without there being an accountability on the people that push this stuff to us, whether it's Fauci, whether it's NIH, whether it's CD, whoever you want to put on that. Do you think they quietly want this thing to move on and we focus on other issues that we have?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, clearly they don't actually want to have like a reckoning about any of this. And the thing that, I mean, for me, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room, it's like it makes your blood boil to watch this and kind of relive it and remember that, yeah. And just to think that, right, like you just mentioned the stock of big pharma companies and how much money they were making off of it. Look.
This is Pfizer, by the way. Yeah. Check this out.
It's going pretty good for them. Hey, by the way, did that ever come up on CNN? You think they ever had that graphic up there?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah, because the whole point
right.
was they were making money. They were also given absolute liability against any suits for the vaccine injuries.
Yeah.
And
pretty corrupt.
And it was a very weird combination of things we had never seen before. And the company said, we won't make it under Operation Warp Speed's guidelines unless you insulate us from litigation for this process. And the government said, okay, we need it.
And yet you guys spent every day, all day long, demonizing American people who were skeptical about this, demonizing the people rather than demonizing the powerful.
So
listen, listen, hold on, let me just say for a second.
All right, go ahead.
2020 was the largest transfer of wealth in human history. And it was from the working and middle class in America to the millionaires and billionaire class. That you can go look up the data on that. They got richer than ever before.
So you think that's what the vaccine was about?
No, my point is that that went completely uncovered by the corporate press. And instead, they were just trying their best because the whole thing was, it was an election year, and you guys, the Russiagate thing had failed. And so this was the new attempt now to ruin Donald Trump and make sure he didn't get reaelected. And everything was framed through that lens.
How is it supposed to hurt Trump? He gave us the vaccine.
Okay, first of all, when you're talking about different things here. Praising the vaccine did not come in until Trump was gone and Joe Biden was in, okay? If anybody remembers at the time, as of the presidential debates, Kamala Harris said, I'll never take that vaccine if that's a Trump vaccine, and you and nobody else at CNN vilified her for saying that.
They did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
It was not until the
they did.
following year in 2021 when the vaccines were rolled out. And Yes, it is true. Chris,
No,
you can keep interrupting me.
you want
Chris,
it to
do you
be
think,
true,
do you,
but it's not
no,
true.
No, no. Chris, could you play me a montage like that of people demonizing Kamala Harris for not taking the vaccine?
No.
When she said that? No, you couldn't. Okay, so I'm right.
Oh,
anyway.
that's the standard?
Yes, that's the standard.
So
yes.
You just showed a montage, or whatever, Grabian's montage. And by the way, there are plenty more people on Fox News who are saying the same thing. You have Cavuto in there. I'll give you credit for that.
For the record, Fox News was terrible on this as well.
But
100%.
what's the point? The point is, so everyone was in on it?
No,
everyone was in on it?
just the corporate media and
Listen,
the government.
So
no, not everybody.
So all
no,
of
here's
these
the
people
thing,
who get
Chris,
paid by contrast, right? These companies get paid by contrast, meaning they are looking for ways to be different than the other ones. But they just all wound up saying the same thing, which was just completely untrue.
If you're watching this, the way you get to vote for today's debate so far, because we got a bunch of other issues we got to talk about right now with Trump, convicted felon, migration, dual citizenship. I'm not done. We're just getting started right now. You get to vote by sending a Manect to Dave Smith and to Chris Cuomo, if you can put their Manect up. Ask him any questions, anything you agreed with, disagreed with, papers, articles, whatever it is. This is the way to get connected with them. They're both on Manect, and they actually get back to people very quickly.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.